Look at this girl. I don't even recognize her. She's so chill. Not a care in the world. Eating jelly beans in an airport terminal. If she only knew.
What I need you to understand right now is that Dulles was not expecting us. So I can't let you off the airplane. If you get off the airplane, you can't get boarded again.
Alright, here's the story made short. I was headed to New York, but there was weather, so we got rerouted to Washington, D.C. I'm a very determined person, so I found a random stranger that lives in New Jersey and was going to drive there. I convinced them to let me go with them, and they said yes! Funny how stranger danger doesn't really cross my mind when I need to get somewhere. But it all worked out. I didn't get murdered, and I took a train from New Jersey to Penn Station in New York, where my lovely husband met me with donuts, might I add. And this was 6 o'clock in the morning, so don't blame him for that angry look on his face. He was quite happy to see me. It was a bit of an adventure to get to New York, but now that we were finally here, we could start our trip. And the mission for New York was to hit all 5 boroughs in about 2 days. The first borough we hit was Queens. And why exactly? Well, that was really just where we were sleeping. And when I say sleeping, we got back at about like 7 a.m. and we slept till about 2 p.m. And when we woke up, we thought, what could be better at this moment than some New York pizza? What's the rating?
That's an easy 8-2.
What about mine?
8-1. 8-1, 8-2.
Okay.
That's good.
Then we took our Lamborghinis, as Jackson likes to call them, to our next destination. It's near the Chelsea Market, but up high, which makes sense because it's called the High Line. It was a discontinued train route that overgrew with bushes, and they decided to make it work. So they used the overgrown bushes, which would be native plants to New York, and made an amazing botanical walk. And for everyone following along to see if we actually make it to all the boroughs, thus far today we've only been in the one borough and the island of Manhattan, but spoiler alert, we will go to 2 other boroughs before this day is over. But first we're gonna go check out the World Trade Center Memorial and also see One World Trade Center. So let's go over there. Personally for me, this was a must while I was in New York because I was very fortunate to get to be one of the little kids of our generation to get to go in the World Trade Centers before they came down. So I just wanted to revisit it, and you know, this was such a big thing that shaped our generation, and I love to go to all kind of historical sites. Now buckle up, we are headed to the next borough, sort of. We're gonna get on this Staten Island ferry, and if anybody has ever not been on this and been to New York, I would say do it. For one, it's just really fun to head over to Staten Island, although we didn't get off because we didn't have enough time, so there's a debate whether we went to that borough or not. But the views are so amazing. You get to see the Statue of Liberty if you plan it right. We were there for sunset and the city just looks gorgeous. It is such an amazing thing to do. I definitely suggest doing it. Be kind, obviously. There are people traveling on this for work and for home. We got off the Staten Island ferry back in Manhattan and headed all the way up to the Bronx for some pizza, just so we could check off one more borough. And where we got pizza was really close to the Yankee Stadium, and Jackson and I accidentally ran into some of Jackson's cousins from Utah because we were all here for the same event for the next day, which we'll get to. So we got back from the Bronx to Queens, and then Jackson gets the wildest burst of energy and goes, let's go to Times Square. Took another train and our Lamborghinis, and it was wild. This was 1 o'clock at night, and there were so many people there. I think that was the moment that I was like, wow, this city doesn't sleep. And this was also the moment that I was like, okay, I don't like this many people. By 3 o'clock we were in bed, and by the next morning we were in Central Park. Before getting here, we headed over to our favorite Asian market, H Mart, and got some snacks and brought our blanket and enjoyed the wild rats. Although Jackson was not having fun in this park because it was just too contrast, you know, from city to park. It was too much for him. And then the main event, the reason we are here, Pokemon Go Fest. For those who don't know, Pokemon Go is really just a phone game where you walk around and play like you're a Pokemon trainer. I love it. It was how me and Jackson really bonded and connected when we were dating, and so this was a really fun experience to get to go with him. And basically you kind of just walk around this park and look kind of psychotic because you can't see anything if you're not on your phone. But when you're on your phone, it is one of the craziest experiences. There are so many Pokemon, there are so many stops, there are so many things going on there, and overall it was just really fun. Unfortunately, we ran out of time on our trip because we were leaving the next morning, but not without hitting our last borough. We made it to Brooklyn, we had some food, we walked around, then we went back and fell asleep. And just like that, our New York trip was over, but we did complete our goal of hitting all 5 boroughs: Queens, Manhattan, Staten Island, Bronx, and Brooklyn. Safe to say we were extremely tired from the whole New York trip, but we had to keep going because we were in Philadelphia now. While we were in Philadelphia, we stayed at a hostel. This was not my first hostel stay, but this was Jackson's, and I would 100% say this was one of the best hostels I've ever stayed at. There was an amazing kitchen, there was a pool table, there was ghost tours at night, there was rocky music playing in the hallway. It was amazing. Oh, and it was also converted from an old nightclub. Like, what? The front desk lady suggested Woodrow's, which was an amazing Philly cheesesteak place I would recommend to anyone, and we actually went there a couple of times. And then she also recommended that we go get water ice, which, guys, it's delicious, but it is just a slushy. We also found this really cool Taylor Swift sign that said, "I'm in my Philly era." On the second day, we kind of just walked around. We walked through an old historical area where the homes are still the original homes, and we happened upon the Philadelphia Mint, which wasn't planned. We also happened upon Benjamin Franklin's grave, which also wasn't planned. In the old town, they have the bone structure, sort of the president's house. There's also a portion where you can see the archaeological structure of the actual old house. Philadelphia is really old, so obviously there's a lot of old structures here, but there's also a printing press. It was Benjamin Franklin's printing press, and this amazing guy shows you demonstrations on how it was actually used, which was awesome, and you could buy the prints that he had made, which of course I bought so many. Just next door to that, and also created by Benjamin Franklin, was the very first post office. And I am super obsessed with anything postage, so I made us go to that. And then we went to a place Jackson really wanted to see, which was the Philadelphia Museum of Art, but it's not for the art. This was where the iconic Rocky ran up the steps, and there's also a statue, so we had a lot of fun here. And it's also just a really pretty place to be and a really pretty view of the city from the outside. Then we went back to the old city for our tour of Independence Hall, where they signed the Declaration of Independence and many more important documents, and had a lot of discussions about this great country. So I was really excited to go here, and I definitely fangirled a lot. We were hungry, so we headed over to this really cool market, and oh my gosh, this place was so big, so packed. It kind of reminds me of the Central Market here in LA, but like 20 times bigger. Then we saw some more historical sites and the Liberty Bell, and then we headed over to the Philadelphia Phillies, which is their baseball team, playing my team, the San Francisco Giants. I was so excited to go to this game, but man, I was not prepared for the fans. We cheered for one Giants thing, and I swear there were evil eyes on us, like, instantly. And so we got real quiet and actually left early because we didn't want to be on the train back with a lot of the fans. We also wanted to get this ginormous slice of pizza I had heard about, which was bigger than my face, and it was pretty good. A little rubbery, but pretty good. And boom, like that, we were done with Philadelphia and on the train again, headed to Washington, D.C. By this point, we were really like, I'm an American! We were so proud to be Americans. Being on the West Coast, like, I don't know, patriotism just has not found its way over here yet. But being on the East Coast, we were bleeding red, white, and blue by the end of this trip. So we got to DC, we checked into our hotel, and faster than a racehorse, we were out the door again and headed to the Washington Monument, where I wasn't aware Jackson was so scared of heights. He was hugging the wall most of the time, so I walked around to all the vantage points and took a little video and explained
Jackson is a little scared of heights and had to go down, so I'm going to do a little what's up here tour. So right now we're looking at the Lincoln Memorial and the reflecting pool. Yay, Jackson!
I'm so scared.
And then you can go this way. Looking out the north, you see the White House. And then, as you walk over here to the east view of it, you have... Okay, so we got the east view, and the east view is going to be the Capitol building and the rest of the National Mall. That's about all it is.
On your way down, they unblur the windows and you get to see the stones, which is insane because they're all seriously just stacked on top of each other. We finally got down to the ground again and we went walking for the rest of the National Mall towards the Lincoln Memorial, went around and looked at the World War II and all the other war memorials. Yes, you're actually allowed to put your feet in this one, so we did. We made it to the end, but we had to head back really quickly for our timed entry into the Air and Space Museum, which Jackson was super excited for because he loves anything aeronautic. I love going around to museums, and this one was just really fun. It was definitely made for kids. There was a lot of interactive places, and we had a good time playing this game that I don't think I actually knew how to play. But it was fun. I really enjoy learning anything, and museums are my bread and butter. And that's good because Washington, D.C. is really only museums. We headed over to the Natural History Museum, which was kind of just a surprise to us. We just thought, why not? Let's go into this one, and we loved it. So much stuff to see. And then we got out, had some lunch, and then I really had to go to the bathroom, so we had to find another museum to go into, and we found the National Portrait Gallery, which we were not planning on going into, but oh my gosh, guys, if you like art, go in here. Like art of any kind. They had like desks and actual like woodworking art and painting art and just architectural art. It was beautiful. But mainly we just went in because I had to go to the bathroom. And then we walked all the way up to the Library of Congress, which is on Capitol Hill, and it was a walk. It was a journey. That was a hill. I thought it was just metaphorical, but no, it is a hill, guys. By this time, our Lamborghinis broke down. The tires were off and we had to switch to scooters, which we did because we took a ride around the National Mall on some Lime scooters and ate a lot of bugs because there are a lot of bugs out in summer. And bugs are protein, so that's something. The next day we walked back up Capitol Hill to go into the Capitol building, but we had packed our lunch for that day and you're not allowed to take food in. So we actually scrapped that, but that's okay. It gives us another reason to come back, and it gave us a little bit more time to go find a different Smithsonian, and what we found, I didn't know existed.
Hey, where are we?
The Smithsonian Postage Museum?
Yeah.
It was the National Postage Museum, guys. Postage Museum! That was like all my dreams come true. They even gave you free stamps there. It was it was awesome.
What are we doing?
Getting free stamps.
This is my collection. Well, it's under there. So.
Yeah.
We can only do 6 though.
I'm aware. I will cut it down.
I won't.
So awesome. By this point, I was so tired of taking videos, so you're just gonna have to trust me. We went to the Smithsonian Zoo and got to see the pandas before China took them back. And then we headed back to our hotel where we found there was like a bar on the rooftop. We don't drink, but I love a good view. And so we were up there and it started raining and it was just a magical way to end this trip, which is what it was. It was the end. We fell asleep. We got to the airport the next day very early and headed back home.